Ferrari has just been hit with the most terrifying discovery of their entire 2025 season, and involves Lewis Hamilton's car moments after he was knocked out in 18th place during Qatar qualifying. The truth uncovered inside the SF25 shocked not only the Ferrari garage, but the entire paddock. The FIA and Ferrari engineers found structural behavior so unstable that Hamilton described the car as dangerous in the fast corners. This new evidence explains why the 7-time world champion could not escape Q1, while Leclerc barely survived to Q3, and why Ferrari now faces a nightmare scenario for Sunday. Before we break down what Ferrari discovered, make sure you subscribe, because the Qatar chaos is only the beginning of a dramatic end to the season. Qatar qualifying exposed the deepest crisis Ferrari has faced since joining the 2026 preparations early. Hamilton was eliminated in 18th position with a 1 minute 20 seconds and 907 thousandths lap, describing the SF25 as impossible to drive. The contrast with Leclerc finishing 10th highlighted that the issues are not limited to driver adaptation, but reflect a structural flaw in the car itself. Ferrari ended the session stunned as new technical evidence showed why Hamilton felt the car had nothing left to give. Hamilton's first complaint involved the frightening lack of rear grip. As he pushed through the third sector, the car snapped without warning, forcing him to correct aggressively just to stay on the circuit. The FIA data confirmed that the rear axle suffered from an alarming lack of mechanical stability. Ferrari could not bring the tires into the proper temperature window, which meant Hamilton entered the first corners without the bite needed to challenge for competitive times. The team watched his onboard and saw that every medium-speed corner demanded survival instead of precision. The second shock came when internal Ferrari reports revealed a millimetric disconnect between the floor and the rear suspension. This microscopic structural separation does not appear in normal telemetry, yet it causes the floor to lose aerodynamic load in unpredictable pulses. For a driver like Hamilton who relies on rear stability, this behavior is catastrophic. Every attempt to push resulted in the rear of the car fading away. Ferrari engineers admitted privately that this fault explains the sensation Hamilton kept repeating to the team that the car would not go faster no matter how clean the lap looked. Hamilton attempted to hide the instability by running a higher downforce configuration than Leclerc. Instead of creating balance, this choice added drag without increasing grip. The SF25 became slow on the straights and still unstable in the corners. Leclerc, on the other hand, managed to reach Q3 because his driving style tolerates a more oversteering platform. Yet even he finished last among the top 10 and more than a full second behind pole sitter Oscar Piastri. The two results together confirm Ferrari is suffering from deep structural limitations that no setup change can fully mask. The radio messages revealed the true scale of the crisis. Hamilton first reported that the car had nothing left and insisted no amount of pushing would improve the lap. Later, a private radio message not broadcast on television emerged where he warned his engineer that the car felt dangerous in the fast corners because he had no grip at all. This level of concern from a driver with his experience sent shockwaves through the team. The problem was not simply speed but safety, something Ferrari never expected at this stage of the season. Team principal Fred Vasseur acknowledged that Ferrari underestimated the impact of stopping development in April. By diverting all resources to 2026, they left the SF25 exposed to rivals who kept improving. Vasseur accepted responsibility and admitted the frustration of the drivers is completely justified. The results illustrate that Ferrari no longer has the tools to fight for meaningful positions. Even Leclerc in 10th was beaten by midfield cars from Alpine and Aston Martin, a painful confirmation that the team has slipped down the competitive order. With Hamilton starting 18th and facing heavy traffic, Ferrari expects a survival race. The car overheats when following others, which will worsen the grip issues. The team believes that scoring points on pure pace is impossible without a chaotic race. Their realistic objective is to gather data, manage tire temperatures, and avoid incidents. Hamilton will have more fresh tires than the top 10 runners, but without rear stability, even that advantage may not be enough to climb through the field. Ferrari arrives at Sunday with more questions than answers. Ferrari entered Qatar qualifying expecting a difficult session, but nothing prepared them for the extent of the instability discovered inside Hamilton's SF25. From the moment he exited the pit lane, on his first push lap, the car revealed a disturbing lack of balance that prevented him from committing to any of the medium speed corners. Lusail is a circuit that demands precision during the initial steering phase, yet the SF25 refused to rotate in a predictable manner. Hamilton described the feeling as the car refusing to follow the intended line, and each correction cost him precious momentum before he even reached the high-speed sections of the lap. A second issue emerged when Ferrari analyzed the rear axle behavior. The internal data confirmed that the SF25 suffered from an alarming absence of mechanical grip on corner exit. Each time Hamilton applied throttle, the car reacted with unstable traction, forcing him to delay power and causing him to lose significant acceleration down the straights. This was especially damaging in the final sector, where stability is critical. The rear tires never enter a consistent temperature window, leaving Hamilton with a platform that deteriorated further as the lap progressed. This instability became the defining weakness that pushed him out of Q1. The third problem involved the interaction between the floor and the rear suspension. Ferrari identified a microscopic structural separation that does not appear in generic telemetry but becomes catastrophic under aerodynamic load. This separation caused the floor to lose downforce intermittently, leading to sudden drops in rear stability that Hamilton could neither predict nor correct. For a driver who relies on rear grip to carry speed through long corners, this behavior was destructive. Ferrari engineers admitted this issue, explained why Hamilton repeatedly insisted the car would not find additional pace regardless of how cleanly he drove. A fourth issue centered on Hamilton's attempt to compensate through setup. He chose a configuration with more downforce than Leclerc to stabilize the rear, but this decision brought new limitations. The extra downforce increased aerodynamic drag without delivering meaningful grip. As a result, Hamilton became slower on the long straights while still struggling in the corners. This combination trapped him between two weaknesses, preventing him from accessing the benefits of either approach. Meanwhile, Leclerc, using a slightly looser setup, managed to advance to Q3 but finished last among the top 10, showing the same structural problem was affecting both Ferrari cars. The fifth problem came to light through the radio messages. Hamilton first told the team that the car had nothing left, a phrase he rarely uses unless the performance limit has been reached prematurely. Later, he warned his engineer that the car felt dangerous in the fast corners due to the complete lack of rear grip. This warning carried emotional weight because Hamilton has the ability to manage instability better than most drivers. When he describes a car as dangerous, it indicates a level of unpredictability that extends beyond simple imbalance and enters the realm of structural deficiency. A sixth problem involved the wider team strategy. Ferrari halted SF25 development early in the season to focus resources on the 2026 project. This created a performance gap that has grown with each race. Qatar exposed the consequence of that decision. Rivals continued improving their aerodynamic efficiency and suspension systems, while Ferrari operated with a package that no longer matched the intensity of its competition. Vasseur later admitted that the frustration of both drivers is justified, and Qatar reflected the clearest evidence, yet that Ferrari underestimated how quickly the field would evolve. The final problem revolved around the competitive context. Hamilton starting 18th places him deep within traffic on a circuit where the SF25 suffers severely when following other cars. The heat buildup at the rear becomes extreme, worsening traction issues and accelerating tire degradation. At the same time, Leclerc starting 10th confirms that even Ferrari's stronger driver could not escape the limitations imposed by the car's instability. This comparison reinforced that the problem was not execution but machinery. Qatar revealed a Ferrari struggling not only with speed, but with structural integrity, leaving the team unprepared for the scale of the decline. Ferrari's engineering department faced immediate and intense pressure the moment Hamilton returned to the garage after his final Q1 lap. The data displayed on the screens revealed performance losses that could not be dismissed as simple driver error. Engineers saw instability patterns that matched neither Leclerc's car nor the simulations produced overnight. This meant the team had to move quickly to identify whether the problem originated from the suspension, the floor, or an unexpected interaction between the two. Because park firm rules restricted major changes, Ferrari had to work within extremely tight boundaries where every decision carried high risk and minimal room for recovery. The first engineering challenge was diagnosing the rear axle behavior. The telemetry showed irregular traction traces that suggested the tires were not maintaining consistent contact with the circuit. Ferrari engineers initially suspected that the rear ride height had drifted, but deeper analysis confirmed something far more serious. The microscopic separation between the floor and the suspension structure created a non-linear aerodynamic response that destabilized the rear. Correcting this mid-qualifying was impossible under regulations. The engineers could only adjust Hamilton's differential and torque maps to soften the symptoms, even though they could not eliminate the root cause. A second engineering priority involved damage containment. Since the structural behavior could not be corrected at the track, Ferrari focused on minimizing its influence during Hamilton's laps. They increased damping values on the rear to absorb some of the oscillation created by the unstable floor section. This adjustment gave Hamilton slightly calmer feedback on corner entry, although it also made the car heavier to rotate. The objective was not to rescue pace, but to prevent Hamilton from spinning in the fast corners where the lack of rear grip had reached dangerous levels. The engineering team described this as operating in survival mode rather than performance mode. A third responsibility centered on aerodynamic analysis. Ferrari reviewed high-speed camera footage and noted that the rear of Hamilton's car oscillated differently from Leclerc's during changes of direction. This confirmed that the aero platform was shifting under load, creating inconsistent downforce at mid-corner. The engineers attempted to compensate by adjusting front wing levels, but even small changes risked unbalancing the entire car. Because downforce distribution is interconnected through complex airflow channels, correcting one corner of the car can destabilize the others. Ferrari therefore chose conservative adjustments that preserved what little stability Hamilton still had. A fourth pressure point involved tire temperature management. Hamilton's inability to build tire energy consistently forced engineers to revise warm-up procedures. They asked him to modify his out lap by applying more aggressive cornering inputs to increase heat on the front tires. However, this strategy created additional stress on the unstable rear. The engineers had to balance tire temperature against structural fragility, accepting that Hamilton would enter the timed lap with imperfect grip. The data confirmed that even on his best attempt, the tires never reached the ideal temperature window, leaving him without the foundation needed for a competitive lap. The fifth engineering challenge came from Hamilton's radio messages. His warnings about the car feeling unsafe demanded immediate internal review. In Formula One, safety concerns override all performance considerations. Ferrari engineers rechecked every sensor, every structural reading, and every aerodynamic correlation to confirm that the car remained within acceptable parameters. Although the instability was severe, the telemetry did not indicate a risk of catastrophic failure. This allowed Hamilton to continue, but the engineering group understood that his confidence had been damaged. The role of the team became not only technical but psychological, providing reassurance while knowing the car's limits could not be hidden. The final engineering responsibility involved preparing for Sunday while accepting that qualifying had exposed weaknesses too large to repair overnight. Ferrari shifted its focus toward creating a race configuration that would reduce overheating, protect the tires, and offer Hamilton the chance to climb gradually through the field. Engineers studied Leclerc's data because his car behaved more consistently, using it as a reference to stabilize Hamilton's package within the constraints allowed by the rules. Their objective was not to create a fast car, but a manageable one, capable of surviving long stints without the unpredictable snaps that defined Hamilton's qualifying.